before we dive into this, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you will be notified every single time we go live on YouTube. And also it will tell you when new trailers are up as well. So make sure you hit that button. So without further ado, let's introduce you my very good friend. He doesn't need any introduction, to be fair. It's Mr. Craig Petty.
Thanks
Hello,
so
mate.
much, Pete. Thanks for having me back on the deep dive. I'm very excited. How are you?
I'm good. You're sort of becoming my co-host. You're here so
I know.
often.
I'm trying to make sure that I kind of edge Wayne Goodman out of here slowly, and then just take over his spot. That's my plan. World domination,
Well,
starting at Alakazam and going out from there.
well, you know you're always welcome here at Alakazam. You know that.
Thanks, mate.
So I haven't done a deep dive for a while. We haven't actually done one, but this is a deep dive special. We are going to get back into doing the deep dives very soon. But we wanted to talk about your brand new product, which is actually out the day this is going live. So if you're watching this on the Monday, which is Monday the 27th, is it? No.
Yes, I think
No. Today's
Monday 29th.
Monday the 29th. If you're watching it on the 29th, you can now pick this up. And this is genius. You showed me this, or showed me a prototype of this, I think well over a year ago.
Yeah. I tell you what, there's a magician who I believe we both know, called Brandon Bennett.
Yeah.
He's a customer from Alakazam. Great guy. And he was showing me something that he did, and he literally had double blank cards, and he was writing emotions on these double blank cards. And I was like, oh, that's really clever, you know, from a mentalism point of view, that's really clever. But it's a shame it's not more organic. And then that was kind of the catalyst that then made me go away. And I was kind of sitting there thinking, well, how could you make emotions more organic? What would you put emotions on in order to make them an object that everybody would understand and everybody would relate to? And it kind of just dawned on me, motivational posters. Everybody is used to seeing them in doctor's surgeries, everyone's used to seeing them on the internet, and they always revolve around a particular emotion. And I was like, well, this is great, because now if we had a pocket-sized version of these, it would mean that we could do something that's based around emotion, but you know, it looks more organic rather than taking something out of your pocket that you've written on, if that makes sense. Yeah,
and they really do. They look exactly like you said. They look like those mini motivational posters. It's a great deck to actually perform with, because it's different. It's not a pack of cards. It's something that's going to relate personally to the person. You know, they can go through. They could even go through and pick an emotion that they're feeling at the moment, or something that they felt in the past, or whatever it was, and you can give them this great bit of mentalism through that. But as per usual with your releases, it's more than just a trick. It is a utility. And how long's the tutorial on this one?
Well, it became a lot longer than the trailer says. The trailer says it's 5 hours. It's probably more like about 8. And about 2 hours of live performances. And that happened because, well, you have to understand that I'm not really a mentalist, and I've been getting more into mentalism in the last couple of years. As you know, last year I bought out Ticket to Ride and Petty Cash, and you know, I've kind of been skirting on the edge of mentalism, but I've been getting more and more into it, and I'm always going to be a sleight of hand guy. But one thing that I've learned in the last couple of years is mentalism is so powerful. When I perform with the Evoke deck, I can't follow it up with a coin trick. I just can't. It doesn't feel right. People have been kind of, it's almost like a different effect. I love performing like a sleight of hand trick and having people freak out and run away. It's amazing. But you get a completely different type of reaction when you do mentalism well. And it's something that I've only just started really kind of experiencing in the last couple of years, and I see why everyone gravitates towards mentalism, because it's just so amazing. But the reason I'm telling you that is because I'm not the most experienced mentalist in the world. I'm just not. So when I realized that this is something that had legs, and I started really kind of building features into it, which we can get to later, I knew that I wanted to have people on there on the project that were more experienced than me. I needed to have people on there that knew what they were talking about. So the first person that jumped on the project was Pete Turner. I had to move hell and high water to get Pete involved. But Pete does like a 2-hour masterclass on how to use the Evoke deck. And what's really interesting was Pete was meant to do the whole tutorial with me. And the problem is, Pete did what Pete always does, which is sat there, went off at completely different tangents, created on the spot about 15 things that was just amazing. And we did like a 2-hour masterclass of Pete just blowing me away with my own product. And then we didn't actually discuss anything about what the trick actually was. So that became like a masterclass to include on the project along with everything else. And then when I sat down with you and I showed you Evoke for the first time, you then started showing me some of the most amazing applications. You were like, hey, have you thought about doing a 10-card poker deal? No, I haven't, but that's genius. I don't know why I haven't thought of that. Have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? And so that then got added to the project, and your section is amazing. And then just when the whole thing had been wrapped up and the trailer had been done, I was speaking to my friends. Well, if I asked you who the greatest cold reader is of all time, who would you say, Pete?
Well, it is Ian Rowland, without a shadow of a doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was speaking to Ian Rowland, and he looked at it and he was like, the only thing I regret is that you didn't ask me to be a part of the project. And I was like, Ian, I never thought you would want to, but I would love to. So literally within 72 hours, probably 3 or 4 days at the absolute most, we had Murphy's express ship and Evoke over to Ian. We'd organised to use the Magic Circle to film in. I went down to London with Nemid at 4 o'clock in the morning. We filmed like an almost 2-hour masterclass with Ian Rowland talking about cold reading with the Evoke deck, warm reading with the Evoke deck, making magic memorable with the Evoke deck. He created, I think, 5 or 6 brand new routines specifically for the Evoke deck, and we made it all happen. And that's part of the project, which I'm so excited about. So you've got like an 8-hour tutorial with Ian, you, Pete Turner, and then some of my ideas as well.
The thing is, there's a couple of things I want to mention there. For one, to have 2 hours of Pete Turner is worth the price of this anyway. To have Ian Rowland give lessons in cold and warm reading, I don't know how you put a price on that, because he doesn't do that. He doesn't appear on tricks to give his opinion and to teach this sort of stuff. And you're thinking, even without the cards, to sit there and listen to those guys is worth more than this product is selling for. The actual product itself is so clever. And one thing that I would like to say as well, and I know you don't class yourself as a mentalist, but your way of thinking, when I look at Ticket to Ride, the amount of information you get off that card, I mean, the line of thought that your mind must go down is something that I wish mine would follow that path, because as soon as you show me something, I'll go, oh, that's great. And you say, yeah, but that's only one thing it does. Now have a look at this, and this. And my mind's always blown, because I think, well, how did you work that all out? And it's so clever. And with this deck as well, it's incredibly clever. And the marking system, was it you or Phil Smith that created the marking system? I know it's your idea to have the mark.
Yeah, so I created the idea. I knew everything that I wanted to build into this thing.
Yeah.
And I knew it had to have certain information, and I needed it very clear and easy to read, because my eyes are terrible and I can't see a thing half the time. And Phil Smith, as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest
Yeah.
marking system Cube 52. Obviously, my favorite deck of mark cards is the Elysian Duet, which was created by Phil. So I knew I wanted Phil to get involved with it. And I said to Phil, right, this is the idea. He was like, brilliant. And I said, I'd like this built into it, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And he's like, so you need 7 pieces of information marked onto it. I was like, yes, and I need it to be so easy to read that you can just get it at a glance. And he was like, okay, no problem, give me 2 days. And he came back in 2 days, and he had created an entire marking system, never seen before, that allowed you to give information on full words, and it's hidden in plain sight and you can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very clever. And you know, the other thing which I think you tend to do in a lot of your sort of mentalism releases along this theme is obviously you can use this in stack, and if you use it in stack, you get all these possibilities. But the great thing is you can start off in stack, then have the thing shuffled, and still perform a bunch more incredible routines. And there's no, I would say the memorization to this is most oh no, there isn't any memorization.
No, there's no memorization
no,
on this one yet. Because literally, I've given these cards to people who don't even know what the emotions are, and I've pointed out the marking system, and then immediately you can go, oh, that's boredom, that's confidence, that's stressed, that's ecstatic.
There was part of me thinking that you were getting sort of keyed as to what card it is, but you're not. You know exactly what card it is because it tells you.
You know exactly what card it is. Yeah. I mean, it's and I've done that with a lot of releases. You know, obviously, I love Monsters and Christmas cards that we brought out last year, and that incorporates the same thing. And I've not really seen, because I'm a magician, but I'm working on a lot of mentalism right now, but I think I'm coming at it from a different direction. And what I like to do is I like to say, right, a stack is a really useful principle to build into something like this. But what's even more useful is if the thing comes out of stack, or you choose to take it out of stack, you still have a ton of applications. Because then, worst case scenario, if you drop the cards, or if there's an issue or somebody shuffles them, you can still go and do whatever it is you want to do. So I think it's really important to have it in stack, but have the ability to take it out of stack at any point that you want to, and then put it back into stack.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so good. And you made a comment earlier, actually, that I just wanted to sort of speak about, because I found exactly the same thing. And I know you said that the sort of reactions that you get to mentalism, they are on a different level to magic, and a different. I don't mean they're 100 times better, but it's a different type of reaction. I always, when I started performing, going out and performing, I was doing more mentalism, but I quickly learned that if I was hitting tables, mentalism for me wasn't working around the tables, because it took me a longer time to present it and get into it, and I found it a more intimate thing. Whereas magic, you can get that boom, 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 quick hit, round of applause, and off you go. Mentalism gets you a far deeper reaction from the spectator, but I think you need to give the effect the respect it deserves and the time it deserves to do it. And when you watch people like Pete Turner, and you've only got to sit down and listen to their presentations and watch them do it to see how much reaction they get. In a moment, we're going to play the trailer, and I'm sure the trailer starts with some girl crying.
It's very early on, and that's the reactions that you get. I mean, you really do. On that point, you're absolutely right about mentalism reactions. One of the routines that you, Pete, shared in your section, which has become one of my favourite pieces, is using the Evoke deck to heighten a name reveal. So, and we can talk about the principles. I'm going to be very open on this video in a minute, but suffice to say, one of Pete's routines is you have somebody write the name of their best friend at school, and you put it into your Stealth Assassin wallet, available from Alakazam.
Of course.
When it goes in there, you put it to one side and you say, "Hey, I want you to think of this friend and an emotion that you attach to them. I've got all these motivational posters here. Go through them. Find one card that you feel sums up how you feel about this person, and take it out, put it in your pocket, and then I'll turn back round." And obviously, because the principle's built into Evoke, when you turn back round, you instantly know the emotion. And your idea on the actual project was, because of that, now you're going to sort of be in rolling territory where you're not just telling them the name of the person, but you know a bit about their relationship because you know the emotion. Well, if you watch the trailer, there's a girl in there, and I turn a card around and I say Becky, and she freaks out. The story behind that is that's the routine that you taught on the project, Pete, or one of them. So I just wrote down a best friend from school and put it in the wallet. And then I did the whole thing where I said, hey, take an emotion that reminds you of this person. And when I turned back round and I put the cards away, the card she picked was xenophobia. And I tapped into my inner Ian Rowland, because I'd been speaking, to Ian about this. And I just turned around to her and I said, okay, forget about the name for a second, because I've already picked the name now. Your concept is brilliant. Yeah. And I said, forget about the name for a minute. Think back to the time that you were friends with this person at school. She was your best friend, but something happened at school that meant that you guys went in separate directions. Something serious. You had a massive falling out. And that massive falling out was over something that you really believed that she did wrong. You had a differing opinion, and it caused the whole thing to explode, and you've never seen each other since. She was freaked out. She said, I've never spoken to anyone about that. Get out of my head. She was almost crying at this point. She was so freaked out. And I was like, yeah, it was because of something that happened, one specific thing. You saw somebody and it led to this moment. Yeah, you thought she was racist, didn't you? That's right. You thought she was racist. And since then, she's not been your friend. And wow. she could. Now, when I told her the name Becky, that was an incredible moment. But the name reveal just didn't even come close to the fact that she believed that I literally tapped into her head and described to her an event that happened 20 years before that she'd never told anybody. And I can't think of another routine ever that I've been able to get that sort of reaction. And that's what Evoke does.
Yeah, 100%. And it does remind me that the routine itself, there's a routine that I got very known for years ago, and that was a routine by Colin Miller, the great magician and mentalist Colin Miller, called Hollywood or Bust.
Colin's amazing.
And this reminds me of Hollywood or Bust without the blind reading, because you're giving them so much information, and you're absolutely right with the way that routine went there. Revealing the name was great. It's a lovely little kicker. It wouldn't have been needed. It wouldn't have been needed because you had told her so much. And that's the beauty about mentalism, is you can spot that card. You can start going in a direction, and I'm sure Ian covers this, but let's say you started going down a route after seeing the emotion and you're not picking up that route is correct. You can instantly change direction. The only thing they're going to remember are the hits, which they always do with cold reading. That's why psychics are so popular, because people go in and they go, they got me exactly right. Yeah, but they got 600 people completely wrong. You know, it's, but you only remember the hits, and that's the beauty. And that was the great thing about Hollywood or Bust as well, because there was a piece in there that I actually feel was real mind reading, i.e. I had a piece of information, but I didn't know the other piece that they were thinking of. I know it's connected, but I don't know 100% what it is. So I have to use real mind reading to find out what that piece of information is. And that's the great thing about this set as well, is it allows you to do that, which not only I feel is more impactful to the spectator, but I feel it gives you as the performer more of a genuine feeling of mind reading, and it gives them a more genuine feeling as if their mind is being read. You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It's
an interesting journey that I've been. Yeah, it's such an interesting journey, and I've now become like you know, I've jumped out the mentalism closet. I love doing mentalism. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to be throwing coins around like there's no tomorrow, but there's certain times when I perform mentalism, and as I say, I just can't follow it. I can't follow it. It's so impactful.
Yeah. Well, when I was out performing, I used to separate it. It was the only way that, for me, myself, I know there's people that don't and don't think you have to. For me, myself, I used to separate it. The mentalism was for, you know, when you finish doing the tables and someone comes up and says, can you show me something? And I always used to say, I'll tell you what, I'll try something out. It's a bit of an experiment. It's something I do. May work, may not, depends what our connection's like. And then I would go into mentalism, and their reaction was always the same. And it was like, I know with the magic, you can most probably practice that. But how on earth did you just do what you did? Because in their mind, and I still believe that mentalism is the only true believable part of our art form. I do think people are wise enough that they understand magic doesn't exist, i.e. when we're doing a card trick, they know there's something going on. But with mentalism, there's still a huge amount of the population that believe in all sorts mystical. You know, mind reading is still a thing that is questioned by a lot of people, i.e. is it possible?
Yeah. And the thing with Evoke, it literally has, because of all the different principles that are built into it, you can do so many things. And we can talk about those, but you can do so many things. But, you know, you pointed this out to me, that what it allows you to do at its core is take any card trick and heighten it by using these emotion cards. So, you know, you think of, well, your 10-card poker deal is a perfect example. You know, a 10-card poker deal is a 10-card poker deal. Now, Chris Congreve has recently made it even more, heightened the 10-card poker deal with the cloak, which is brilliant. But your routine where you say, hey, take 5 positive emotions out, take 5 negative emotions out, shuffle them up, brilliant. And they separate the positive and negative emotions. That's next level. Same with Out of This World. You do Out of This World. People can't relate to red and black, clubs of hearts, spades and diamonds. But you start telling them, look, if you feel positive about this card, put it here. If you feel negative about this card, put it here. It kills. It really does. I mean, there's no way to describe it. Even something like Triumph. Triumph is a great sleight of hand trick. It really is. Lovely sleight of hand trick. I love it. But when you do Triumph with something like Evoke, and you say, look, take out an emotion that makes you feel happy, an emotion that you strive to feel every day in life. And then you mix it into the pack in life. You know, sometimes we have our emotions all over the place. We're highs and lows, ups and downs. We can't focus. Can anyone relate to that? But if you just focus on that one emotion that you want to feel every day, you'll be able to sort your emotions out. Just, you know, it just really kind of takes something that's a visual sleight of hand trick. And there's nothing wrong with a visual sleight of hand trick, by the way, but it takes it and moves it to an entire different level, really.
It's like therapy in a deck of cards.
Yeah.
We should release that Triumph and we'll call it Mixed Emotions. How about that?
That sounds like a plan. Let's do it, man.
Honestly, mate, this is so good. I'll tell you what, let's have a look at the trailer. And then we'll come back and we'll speak a little bit more about it. So, do you want to introduce the trailer?
Absolutely, let's do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this deep dive with me and Pete Nardi. And I am very, very excited to present to you the trailer of Evoke, which is now available to buy at Alakazam.
Perfect.
What the just
How
happened?
good is this stuff?
So crazy.
Like, if he wasn't genuinely confused, then he's a better actor than I'll ever be.
I want you to pick somebody at random that you don't think I could have intersected.
Excuse me?
You just sleep down. In a moment, I'm going to give you a card. It's going to be in plain English, but you're not going to be able to differentiate what the card says. Stop. Take it, put it to your chest, don't look at it. Okay? So take a look at what it says. Try to tell them what it says. I can't get it.
Mentalism is the ultimate, intimate performance.
When you were younger, you felt this quite a lot, but not so much now. You kind of got over it when you got older, right? And it's bringing back memories of what you were thinking of. Nervous, because you were very nervous when you were younger, is that right?
It's okay.
6 of hearts, 3 of clubs, not much really there for your spectators to relate to, but these? When was the last time you experienced kindness, or joy, or suffered some anxiety, or indecisiveness? Your spectators can relate to these emotions because we're all human.
This was the worst situation in your life, a situation where you felt you weren't in control. Have you got the anxiety card in your hand?
Oh my God.
You're able to relate intimately with your spectators, and mentalism with these cards becomes a uniquely personal experience just for them.
Touch anyone at all.
Wow.
That one there, are you sure? Positive? I think you've got love. Turn it over.
How the hell?
The Evoke deck is designed for mentalists to create deeper emotional connections with your audience.
What was the emotion?
Anxiety.
Anxiety at the age of 7.
Yeah.
And that was shuffled into the 7th position by you, and you had a free choice of any emotion. Turn it over.
What the heck? What the? What?
It's a shortcut into their inner world. Designed by Phil Smith, these inspirational posters hide so many devious secrets and principles, it's almost impossible to list them all. Give them an out-of-this-world experience to empower them.
You made all the choices. How do you feel you did? You started dealing negative cards. You made the decision to switch around about there. And at that point, you decided to deal
No way, man.
positive.
Can I swear?
Of course you can.
What the fuck?
Create a direct link into their inner feelings and discover connections otherwise impossible.
If you have a look at the images that I've got and the images you've got, I'm going to place a card face down. You're going to place yours face up. I'm always going to put mine face down first. Place one face up there. I think I know. Okay. So I wait for the sunrise, the water, the tree, these two.
If that's not enough, the mother of all book test hides in plain sight.
Just touch any card. Have a look at the quote. Read the quote a few times in your head. First letter. It's a D. You're thinking it disappears. But hang on, let me see if I can get the emotion. Upset.
Yeah, mad. I'm honestly speechless. I don't really know what to say.
Reveal a name they are merely thinking of.
Who were you thinking of?
Johnny Depp?
You were thinking of Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Get lost. That's mental. What the hell? That's a joke. How would you know that?
And that just scratches the surface. In the over 5 hours of instructions, Craig Petty goes over every feature and nuance of this mentalist dream project. Then he's joined by Peter Nardi and Pete Turner, where they reveal secrets, principles, and concepts that will elevate your performances even further.
Fairly sure you picked patience.
Yeah.
Connect with your audience on a deeper emotional level.
You can't.
For real?
Create unique moments tailored to your spectators with the power of Evoke.
That's impressive. That's mad.
How would you know that I thought that?
That's nuts. I've never seen that done in person.
Mate, that is superb. I will honestly say I don't think any magician or mentalist should not have this in their possession, because it is not only do you learn so much on the video, so there's so many things to get you running. If you just wanted to do the simplest piece of mentalism, revealing how someone's feeling, you cannot get better than this. If you want a great one ahead routine, all built around, you know, a first love or something else, you can't do any better than this. It is a utility. I think it's doing it a disservice to call it a trick, because it's a utility item that can be used for so much. And I've seen the teaser trailer. I'm surprised the talking heads on the trailer, because you've got Spellman on there, you've got Luca Volpe, you've got Mark Paul, you got people that really know what they're talking about and perform mentalism on a daily basis, saying that this is a game changer. And I truly believe, as simple as it is as a concept, i.e. emotions on cards, the thinking that's gone behind it and gone into it is incredible. But just because it's a simple thing, i.e. cards with emotions, it's a powerful tool, and I don't think you can overlook that. Any mentalist will buy that without a shadow of a doubt, because they'll instantly see the value. A magician that wants to do mentalism, I would wholeheartedly recommend picking it up.
Yeah, because a couple of mentalists have said to me that this is the way that magicians get into mentalism if they want to, because it's a couple of people described it as a cheat code. It's like a cheat code for mentalism. It's like it allows you to do stuff. It was Mark Elsden. Mark Elsden said this is going to allow people with very little experience with mentalism to be able to perform stuff that would normally take years of experience, which is just mind-boggling that, you know, people are saying that. And, you know, I'm blown away. I'm speechless. I really am. It's been so well received. And I think one of the key things about it, and it was really important for me and Phil to make this happen right from the very beginning, it looks legit. I hate it when you bring out a trick that's meant to look like a normal object, and it actually doesn't look like a normal object. And you go, this is a thing. And they go, well, no, it's not, but I'm going to go with it. This really does look like something that you just pick up in a Waterstones or a W.H. Smith's or something like that, that you would, nobody has ever questioned what these are. Are these little motivational posters? Everybody recognizes them. Everybody knows what they are.
Yeah. Yeah, and even the tuck box is just a tuck box for the motivational cards. So, you know, the tuck box can be used in play as well. And they really do look innocent. Like you said, no one would ever question them, because they've all seen these images. I mean, go back a few years, every morning you would wake up on Facebook and they'd be plastered on Facebook every day by someone saying, you know, whatever it was. But these motivational posters are everywhere. So just we're sort of running up to time now, but I want to speak to you a bit about what the cards themselves contain.
Right.
So we know they've got markings on the back, but it's more than just telling you what the card is.
Okay, 2-minute overview of what you've got in these cards. Phil designed an alphabet marking system, so words are actually marked on these cards, and you can literally look at the back of the card and instantly see the word if you know what you're looking for. If you don't, you won't see it. It's a little bit like that old illusion that did the rounds on Facebook where you saw a wall with a cigar in it, and you couldn't see the cigar until somebody pointed out where it was, and then you can't unsee it. It's the same thing with these cards. Each, so if you look at the backs of the cards, each square is actually a letter. And the way that the individual squares are designed, it creates full words. So regardless of which way the cards turn around, it makes absolutely no difference. They're marked in either direction. And there's a ton of stuff that I'm going to miss, but the core features that are built into it. If you have them on stack, they're designed to be in stack, running in an alphabetical stack from A through to Z. So A is anxiety, B is boredom, C is confidence, D is depression, so on and so forth, all the way through to Z, which is zest. So, in essence, you could have someone, you take a card, look at the bottom card, and you tell them what the card is. However, you don't need to with this, because the top line is going to mark you or cue you immediately as to what the card is that they've taken. So, you look at the card. Let's say that card is confidence. You look at the top line, you're instantly going to see the whole word confidence. You don't need a crib. You don't need memorization. It's going to tell you the exact word immediately. And as soon as you see it, you'll just glance down and you'll see it in half a second. However, because they're in stack, the second line down cues you to the next card in stack. Now, what that means is I can have you take a card and I can have my back turned the entire time. And then when I take the stack and just glance at the stack, I'm going to know the card they've taken. I could, for example, have them cut the deck, complete the cut. I can be looked away the entire time. They can take the card, put it in their pocket, and just by looking at the stack, I know that I know the emotion they've taken, because the second line is going to cue me to the card they've taken. It's the next card along in stack. The routine that I talked about that Pete put on the project with the name reveal. Pete tells you to look through the cards on the face and take any emotion they want, cut at that point, and then put the card away. When you take the stack back, you're going to know the card that they've taken. Now, as well as that, there's 26 cards. The box says 30. That was Phil's idea to throw people off. There's actually 26 cards, 26 letters. There's 13 negative emotions, 13 positive emotions. The images that are on the fronts of the cards, the negative emotions are in black and white. The positive emotions are in color. So because of that, when you're doing things like Out of This World or 10-card poker deals, it instantly pops that you've got it correct. However, also, on the top right-hand corner of every card, there is a plus or a minus. The plus or the minus tells you if it's a negative or a positive emotion. You don't need to look at the whole mark, you just need to look at the corner. That's cool. Next, when you look at the images, we've built the Quran principle into the images on the cards. So in other words, the cards have the same 5 images repeating. If you don't know what a Quran deck is, it's got 4 cards repeating, alternated with normal cards. We've taken the normal cards, got them out of the way. You've got the same 5 images repeating, which is flower, tree, mountain, waterfall, and a body of water like an ocean. The thing is, there's no duplicates because every flower looks different. Every mountain looks different. So you can, for example, do Quran 101 style predictions and have multiple outs. You can do tossed out deck style routines. You can do drawing duplications. You can do image reveals. Pete uses the images to do like ESP matchup routines because they're marked on the back, so you can do. There's lots of different ways to actually use the images, but basically, in essence, there's 5 images repeating, but there's no duplicates because every image looks different. So there's 5 flowers, but every flower looks different. Also, on the back of the card, under the mark that tells you then whether it's negative or positive, the next square down on the second line will tell you what the image is and what the next image is. images. So you can see what the image is on the card that they've taken, and if you choose to use the cards in stack, what the image is on the next card. So again, you can look away, you can look at the stack, and you'll know exactly what the image is that they've taken just by looking at the back of the card. Next, the quotes are all written by me, and every single quote has got the mother of all book tests built into it. If you don't know what that is, the idea is that the mother of all book tests is a common mentalist prop, where if you've got a book with, you've got like 9 long words repeating. So you have someone open a book and you have them look at a word, make it a nice long word, you're going to force them onto one of 9 words, which is great. But the negative is you have to figure out what the letter is in order to tell them the word. And then you need a crib, or you have to memorize the 9 words. With this, we've got 9 long words repeating over the 26 cards in the quote. So each quote has 1 long word. So you can have someone take a card, read the quote in their head a couple of times, pick a long word and remember it, but you don't need to fish for the first letter. The reason is the 3rd line down on the stack that's left in your hand is going to cue you to what the Moab word is on the card that they've taken. So in other words, I can look away. I can have them cut the deck, complete the cut. I can have them take the card, read through, pick a long word, remember that word, put the card away, and I can just turn back, look at the 3rd line down. It's going to tell me what the Moab word is in straight away. So I'm not going to need to fish for a first letter. I'm going to get it completely correct every time with no memorization and no cribs. And then if I look 1 line up, it's going to tell me the emotion that's on the card as well. So that's built into it. Also, the name of the person that's leaving the quote, there's a couple of things. First of all, their initials are cued on the card. So on the back of the card, underneath the mark that tells you what the image is, it tells you the initials of the person that left the quote. Now, I don't use that, but we built it in there because we thought somebody might do. But one of the most exciting things, and how I open with Evoke a lot of the time, is I've incorporated a system into the names of the people that leave the cards, the names of the people that leave the quotes. So on the cards, on the Evoke cards, there's obviously 26 cards. I can go up to somebody and I can show them all of these cards, shuffle them if they want to, and I can point out that on every single card there's a quote that's been left by a motivational speaker or an entrepreneur or a sports person or a business person or a celebrity, and I have them go through and look at all of those names and pick one name, somebody they can visualize in their head. I can be in the other room when they do this. When they're done, I say, have you got somebody? And they go, yeah. And I say, put them all away in your pocket. I haven't looked at anything. And immediately I'm going to be able to tell them the name of the person they're thinking of. And the reason is, out of the 26 names on the cards, 21 of them are made up. They don't exist. The only 5 names that are on there that do exist are the same 5 names that I use in gossip. Johnny Depp, Tom Cruise, Matt Damon, George Clooney, and Tom Cruise. So those are the 5 names. So because of that, I forced them onto one of 5 names, and I use the same fishing system that I use in gossip to be able to immediately tell them the name of the person they're thinking of. So when you look at the trailer, when I ask her who she's thinking of, and I show her Johnny Depp and she's freaking out, that's what I did in that particular routine. And there's lots of different ways that you can use that principle. But if you have gossip, and you have the baby cards for the baby reveal, and this is how I do it now. A lot of the time I don't use the magazine. What I do is I still have myself set up for the baby gag. I don't have to. I can do it in a kind of a more mentalism way if I want to, but if that's not the right crowd, I can have the baby gag in my pocket from gossip, and I can have them just literally, it cuts out any procedure. Just look through, pick a name you can visualize, and immediately I can pull out the baby gag and I've got the correct one. So if you don't pick up, I don't know if you're doing a field speech, if people haven't got gossip, this is designed to link in with gossip perfectly. And in the section of Pete, you talk about how you can actually incorporate gossip into Evoke. So you've got all of those things. You've got the principle with the names are marked on the back. You've got the fact that it's in stack, but it doesn't have to be stacked because there's still marked whether it's shuffled or not. You've got the name of you've got the mark that shows you the name, the emotion on the card, the emotion on the next card, the Moab word on the next card, whether it's color or black and white, whether it's positive or negative, the initials of the person, and also the grand principle, which is also marked on the back, so you don't need to memorize anything. I think that's
that
it.
is so good. There's just so much built in. And just to say, we have actually got a combo deal on the site. If you go up there today and look for either Gossip or Evoke, you will see that you can buy both together, and I think you save 10%. So it's really worth doing it, because then you get another strong mentalism piece as well, which will be a brilliant build up into Evoke. And you can use the baby gag cards with that reveal. But honestly, mate, it's I would like to say it's your best release, but to be fair, I don't think you've had a release that hasn't made me say this is your best release. You just come out with winners, and the reason why is because, you know, you do work them. You do work them, and I know a lot of people may not know this, because a lot of people only say Craig's got another trick out this week. Craig's got another trick out this week. But you first told me about Evoke. It was about this time last year, maybe even a bit before. We were sitting in the studio. I can't remember what project we were filming, and you showed me a prototype. And that was way back. So I don't think a lot of people who buy Magic, I mean, they've got no reason to know, but a lot of people that buy Magic don't truly understand, for one, how long, you know, the actual manufacturing process takes, but also how long you work on something. Because even though you have the idea, you've got a few routines and everything else, you make sure you work the product for months before you film the tutorial. And I know that for the routines we bring out with you. You know, when we brought out the Mirage, now you could have said to me, Peter, look, we're going to re-release the Mirage. There's the 6 tricks we had on it last time. But you didn't. You said, Peter, I've been working with a Mirage set for 10 years. I've come up with 30 routines. And I'm going to go out and work it even more and come up with more. And I don't think people really appreciate the amount of time you put into every product you release, because you do work them. You work them a lot.
I do. And I'm very lucky that I run an entertainment agency, so I've got my pick of gigs. I can go out and I can gig anytime I want to. But yeah, there's a standing joke in the community, isn't there, Pete, about my long tutorials and, oh my God, you know, when's Craig going to hit the 10-hour mark? This is insane. And it's right. It is a ridiculous thing and nobody else does it. But the bottom line is, the reason that the tutorials are that long is because I've been working it for so long. I've had a ton of ideas with it. When I started working it, I probably got one idea. It'd be a 20-minute tutorial. But I just didn't stop. And as I came up with other stuff, I wrote it down. And for every trick that you see released with my name on it, there's another 10 that I've been working that just didn't make the cut. So what you're seeing is only the best stuff, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's really important. I think it's really important to work something in. I think it's really important to... And also, you know, a lot of the time you'll see that when I bring something out, I have other people on the project with me, that because they're going to contribute. Like, look at my coin releases with Alakazam, Pete. When I come in to do a tutorial, what's the first thing I say to you? I need Andy Smith on the tutorial with me. Because Andy, as far as I'm concerned, is as good at coin magic as I am, if not better at many things. Andy is amazing. Could I do the tutorial on my own? Yes. Having Andy on that tutorial, suggesting ideas, coming up with routines, just makes the product better. Look at Cube 52. You were on it. Who else was on it? Kev G and Colin Klaus. Why? They're the leading cube experts in the world, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I could do it on my own. But why would I not have you and Pete and Ian on there? Like, I think it's really important to put the ego aside and go, right, this is good. This is great. But who can I speak to, and what can I do to take it from great to perfect? And I'm not saying that everything I bring out is perfect, but, you know, if I don't believe in the product, nobody else will. You know, if I don't believe in what I do, if I don't believe that this is the greatest trick of all time, why am I even selling it?
Yeah, no, it's true. And you made a very good point there as well. Obviously over the years, I've worked with lots of magicians on lots of projects, and I will say there are a select few people that when it comes to releasing their products, ego does come into it, and it's like you might come up with the best idea ever, and they'll go, "Oh no, I don't. It's my product. This is how I see it. This is all it's going to be." Whereas you are completely different, and you will share the limelight. You will say, "Look, this is the idea. This is what I'm doing with it. What can you do with it?" And that's the big difference. I'm very much the same, whereas I know that my mind will drive me down one path, but I could show it to you, show it to Harry, show it to Andy, show it to Wayne Goodman, show it to a number of people, and everyone is going to come up with ideas that I wouldn't have come up with, because that's not my trailer fault for that trick. And that's a very good sort of personality trait to have, because it is putting the customer and the end user above you, which is what should be happening. We're bringing out these products for the customer. We've already got them. You know, it's you know, like with Evoke, you might have just 3 effects that you do with it. These are my go-to effects. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't give the customer 20 effects so they can choose their best 3, because your best 3 might not be their best 3 because of their style and performing arena and everything else. And I think what you do is very commendable, you know, even though I do get very stressed out when we're filming, because I tend to get very hungry, very thirsty. I need my bed. But apart from that, I have to put the customers first and let you just get on with your 10 hours of tuition.
Yeah, and I always make it so that there's a quick start guide, so you can pick it up and do it in 20 minutes. But I'd rather go deeper, you know. I'd just rather go kind of much deeper. And somebody put on Facebook the other day, they said, why is it that every product comes out has Craig on it, even if it's not his trick? I'll tell you why. It's because if somebody asks me to go on a project and I watch it and I like it, I'm going to say yes. And the reason I'm going to say yes is because I like being in a situation where people can owe me a favor, so that when I've got something coming out, I can go, right, okay, I need your help here. You know, it's you know, perfect example. I think that the trick of the convention, Blackpool, this year, is going to be Drew Perry's trick that comes out through Alakazam. I think that there's nothing that's going to touch it. I sat down with Drew, filmed the tutorial. I've spent the last week filming live performances for that thing, creating routines for it. And the reason is, I need Drew's help now. Drew's helping me, as you know, not anything to do with the Magic release, but he's helping me with something else. You know, that's how the Magic community should work. Ian said it, like, we help each other, you know, and we lift each other up. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, no, it really is. And you are the go-to guy. I mean, I'm losing count now of the amount of people that I buy the rights to their trick and I go, can we have Craig on the instructions? And it's like, I'll speak to him. I'll have a word. But honestly, mate, you know, you've done it again, and I urge every magician and every mentalist to buy. I don't think I have to urge a mentalist. I think they're going to know exactly, you know, that they need to hit that buy it now button. But every magician, I think, you know, you should have this in your arsenal. I think it's a great stepping stone to mentalism if you haven't done mentalism. And also you could use it for your magic as well. So there's so much you can do with this. So Craig, it just leaves me to say thank you so much for allowing us to film this this very special edition of the Deep Dive.
Pete, thank you. You know that I am always going to be a member of the Alaka fam. You and Jenny and the guys and Andy, that you guys have done so much more for me than ever. I mean, I came back to Magic, what, 3 years ago, and the first person that gave me a shot was you. The first trick I ever brought out was Gossip. It would have been very easy for you to say no, and the fact that you said yes, you know, I'm always there for you, and I think that I think Alakazam are amazing. I really do.
You're a top man, Craig. Thank you so much, mate. And I know we've got a lot of products coming out with you this year, or you coming out with us. So we'll be doing more of these deep dives. But ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the amazing and legendary Mr. Craig Petty. Right, Craig,
Thanks
I'll
a lot,
see you
guys.
later, my friend. So, guys, that was this very special edition of the Deep Dive. I am hoping to bring the Deep Dive back very, very soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Also, if you are going to Blackpool, make sure you come over and visit us on the stand. We have got some great pre-releases to show you. And keep your eyes peeled for Alakazam Unlimited. I believe it's launching the end of February, and it's great. So I don't want you to miss that. Also, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. You'll be notified every time we go live right here on the Deep Dive, and all our other videos that go online. So anyway, I'm Peter Nardi. Have yourselves a great week, and pop over to the website and order yourself Evoke before they sell out. See you next time.